I remember when I first joined BNI, one of my biggest concerns was the time commitment. So I work in a service industry. That means that I have to spend time in front of my customers in order for my business to make money. So if I have other things that are demanding of my time and they're not helping me to make a return on the investment of that time, that becomes a major concern. So, looking at the commitment, a 90-minute meeting, that's easy to manage, that's easy to schedule around, no problem. The one-to-one meetings, those were a concern. There wasn't a specific scheduled time, there wasn't a set number of them. I didn't understand what was going to happen in those meetings and what exactly the value could be. And so, my purpose in this presentation is to answer some of those questions and to let people know how an effective one to one can be a huge, huge help in terms of being able to meet your goals as a participant in a BNI group. So, first, let's define some terms. In its purest form, what exactly is a one to one meeting? Well, I think the simplest analogy or the simplest way to look at it is that a one-to-one meeting is an opportunity. Like you see in this picture, there's many doors here. And so going into a one-to-one, there's a lot of different ways that it can look. But first of all, you need to understand what's my reason for walking through this door, right? If you're walking through the door of a bank, maybe your purpose is I want to get some money, right? If you're walking through the door of a movie theater, you want to be entertained. And so when you're walking through the door of a one-to-one, what exactly is your goal? I think that the goals are pretty straightforward and simple. The idea behind having a one-to-one meeting is that it's a great way to increase the level of knowledge, likability, and trust between you and another member of the chapter. It's also an opportunity to do some problem solving. For example, if I have somebody that I really would like to do business with, maybe I want to support them because I'm coming to value them as a colleague in the chapter, or I have an idea that we might have a similar contact sphere, or I might be able to help or provide a service to a person that they maybe have a lot of influence over or contact with. That's somebody that I want to kind of foster that relationship. And a one to one is a really great opportunity to do this. And so the first step in understanding which door to walk through is what do I want to find, or what am I expecting to find on the other end of that door? Now, one of the biggest kind of fallbacks or trappings with a one to one is that people think that it's purely a social get together. Hey, we're going to sit down, we're going to go to the coffee shop, and we're just going to have a nice little chat and get to know each other better. And so you could do that. I think that that's a waste of time, though. Sometimes those things are nice because you do need to like know the people that you're working with, but there's always a way that you can help and be more productive for each other while you foster and grow a relationship. You can also take this to the other extreme where your whole purpose is to go in there and to pump somebody for that referral or to get them to well, one of the worst things you could do is make a sale. I remember the absolute worst one-to-one I ever went on was I sat down with another member of the chapter, and they told me, in order for you to understand what I do best, I think that the best thing for me to do is to like sell you my product. And that was awful. That person lost all credibility with me. I never wanted to have another meeting with him because I really felt put on the spot. That was not what I was there to do, and it put me in an uncomfortable position. And so, really, what your goal should be is to develop know, like, and trust between you and the other member that you're going to be meeting with. Now, I want to share three important things that will help you to make sure that you're having good quality one-to-ones. What you really want is you want some structure to the one-to-one. If you're just showing up to sit down and talk with somebody, you can really talk about anything. And I've been in one-to-ones like that where people just wanted to, talk about sports, or they wanted to talk about kids, or they wanted to talk about the town or current events. And all those things are fine, but I already have friends, one-to-ones, right? And like that's the stuff that I can sit around and talk with them about. When I'm meeting with a member of my BNI chapter, certainly I want to talk to them as a friend, but we also have another element to our relationship, another dimension to it. And so we want to find out what can we do to support each other in our business goals. And so there's three things that I think are really important going into a one-to-one that will help us have a good structure to what we're doing. Number one is a time commitment. So the minimum that a one-to-one should run is about an hour, right? Give or take a few minutes. An hour is a good time for a one-to-one. Now, on the short side, you don't ever want to count it as a one-to-one. If you see somebody in public, you give them a high five, you ask how business is going, you spend 5 minutes talking, and then you go your separate ways. That's a very low level of commitment. It's not a very useful uh, meeting of time, and it's lazy, right? Okay. And then the other side is you don't want to have one-to-ones that stretch on for 2, 3, 4 hours because y'all need to get out there and do your jobs, right? You got to make some money. You got other things that you need to do. And really the danger with that, and I mean, it's not really bad. Like I've had one-to-ones that have gone beyond an hour, like some that have lasted a couple hours just because we really got rolling on a topic and that was good and everything. One of the problems with it, though, is the next time you want to meet with that person, if they remember the last time you got together, it was 2, 3, 4 hours, they're going to be more reluctant to carve out that amount of time to meet with you again, just because it's half of a workday or a quarter of a workday, and they're going to be thinking that there's other things that they could be doing that would be more efficient and effective with their time. So really kind of zeroing in on a time commitment would be great. It's really nice if you can talk to the person beforehand, just so that you're on the same page. Hey, we're going to get together for an hour, right? Yeah, awesome, super. So number two is to focus on outcomes. So if both of you come into this meeting with an idea that there's something that you want to get out of it, like a specific outcome, then that's really great. So if I know that you have a connection that I'm interested in, or maybe I have a connection that I think you might be interested in, I'm coming to that meeting with that goal of making sure that that connection is explored. Maybe you're somebody that I really trust, and I just want to go through like my contact list and tell you about each of the people that are on that contact list, and just tell you a little bit about their life and see is this anybody that works well for you. And so going in there with an idea of what you want as an outcome is really, really important. Another great example is new members to the chapter. They have these the passports, and so for each one of those passport one-to-ones, there's a specific thing to be talked about, and so that member is looking for a specific outcome, and those tend to be some of the best one-to-ones that I sit down and have because we have a goal, something directed that we're talking about. And then finally, have an agenda. The kind of the boilerplate agenda for a one-to-one meeting is that we're going to spend half the time talking about your business, and we're going to spend half the time talking about my business. Now, I'm sure that we've all sat in one-to-ones where this wasn't the case. Maybe we spent all the time talking about one person's business and none of the time talking about the others. And I certainly am guilty of this too. I tend to want to ask a lot of questions, know a lot about people's business, and then, we just talk about mine for like 5 or 10 minutes. And so that could be seen as, oh, wow, you're so generous with your time and you're interested in others. And that's good, yeah, but it also has its problems too, because one of my purposes in being there is I want to help my referral partner to become a better referral partner. So if all we do is talk about their business, I'm not helping them to accomplish their goal of helping me. And so really having an agenda, a plan for kind of an equal share of time between the two of you to discuss things is a really good course of action. So allow me to share the gains worksheet with you. Maybe some of you have used this, maybe some of you have just heard about it but never tried it out. But this is a really, really old BNI tool that can be used to have real high quality one-to-ones. And one of the things that's really neat about this gains worksheet is it's going to help you to accomplish the goals of the conversation, the goals of the meeting, in an organized way that's going to be efficient, and make sure that you're really hitting most of the high points that you would want in terms of developing that relationship. I've used it sometimes in one-to-ones, and it's really kind of cool the things that you find out about the people. So we're going to go through the gains worksheet step by step just to give you an overview of what it's all about. So let's get started. GAINS, of course, is an acronym, and we're going to break it down letter by letter and talk about what each of these means. So the G stands for goals. And well, before I get into this, one of the ways that's really great to use this is if you have a GAINS sheet that's all filled out, and you can exchange them before the one-to-one, or maybe even at the beginning of the one-to-one, rather than trying to fill this out while you're there. That's when it's most effective, okay? So coming into this, the G is for goals. So what are some of the goals of your business, like your company that you own or that you manage or work for? Is there a growth goal? Are you trying to hit a new sales goal? Are you trying to expand into a region? Maybe you have some personal goals around like where you want to end up in your company or your franchise. You might have a goal that's linked to what got you into the industry that you're in. Like maybe you wanted to revolutionize the world of whatever sales that you're in, or you wanted to represent an underrepresented sector of the market, or you want to follow in the footsteps of maybe your grandfather who also did whatever it is that you're doing. So knowing these goals is a really, really effective tool for helping people to connect. We've seen it in our own group where when people go in their weekly presentation, they bring us their goals. Hey, I have a goal to do this much business because I want to go on this trip, or because it would be a new record for our company, or when we hear that people have like set new records, that always gets us fired up, and it makes us want to help more because we feel like we're part of the team and part of the effort. The next portion is the A, which is for accomplishments. So there's some people that have no trouble talking about their accomplishments. They have many, and or they've done something that they're really excited about. And then there's other people who it's really kind of uncomfortable to talk about the things that they've done. I kind of fall into that second category. It makes me uncomfortable to talk about like the cool things I've done or awards that I've received or accomplishments and things like that. But it's really, really important for other people to understand that, because you have to remember that you are not just trying to build a relationship, but you're also trying to give somebody something that they can say about you, right? So you're trying to give them something that they can sell. This is your sales team that you're training. And so if you are the number one agent in North America and that's your accomplishment, you've done that for 3 years, I need to know that, because whenever I'm going and I'm talking to somebody about referring business to you, that's something that I can use. Why should you go with this person? Well, because they're the number one agent in North America for 3 years in a row. And that gives you a lot of credibility. It makes me look good, and it drastically increases the chance that that referral will end up working out. So list some of your accomplishments here, some of the things that you're proud of, your knowledge, skills, experiences, values, and things like that that you have gained from these achievements, and be ready to talk about that so that so we can really have something that we can brag on you about whenever we're talking to our friends about your business. The next one is I, which stands for interest. Now, this is an opportunity to like get a little personal. Not too personal, right? But you can talk about some of your hobbies, things that you like doing. Maybe this is where you talk about what are some of the things that got you into the industry that you're in. What do you do whenever you're not a raincoat salesman or whatever it is that you do? I know that for me, one of my interests is sports and college sports. So I love talking about my college sports team, and everybody who knows me knows that that's what I'm into. And so it's an important thing that people can connect around. One point, I had a power team that was all based around our common interest in our college sports team. So it's a really great way to connect with people and feel like you know them better, And again, it's something else that can be shared. Sometimes, if I'm trying to connect you with somebody else, if I can mention the fact that you have a common interest or hobby with the person I'm trying to refer, that might be the thing that gets you together, and then it segues into a business transaction. So interest is another great thing to talk about. Next is N for networks. So even though BNI is the only hard networking group that we belong to, many of us belong to different other organizations, networks, and connected groups of people that could be useful to mention to a referral partner. So, for example, you might be a member of your state association for whatever profession it is that you're in. You might be a member of the chamber. You might be a member of Rotary. You might be a member of a church or some sort of social club or a sports team. These are all networks that would be useful to bring up and mention. It might be that you're looking to, meet somebody who has involvement in the community, and maybe they are working with a charity that you like or that really fits well with your business. And if you know that I'm on the board of that charity, well, then that's a network that is going to be perfect in terms of a fit. And so listing out some of these associations and contact spheres, you might find out that the person that you're talking to has a good connection with a segment of people that you've been trying to reach, or vice versa. And then finally, the S is for skills. So we want to know what kind of talents you have, abilities, things that you can do that maybe are outside of like what your normal business thing is. Like if you can sing or dance, things like that, or things related to your business. So like what kind of skills or what are the things that differentiate the way that you provide your service or the way that you provide your product from your competitors in the market. And so making us aware of these skills can be a really, really important talking point in a one-to-one. Okay, so before we wrap it up on a video that's probably already too long, I just want to give you a few other tips about one-to-ones. First of all, you can be creative, just connect. So a one-to-one does not have to be face-to-face. That's called a face-to-face, right? So if we need to, like maybe I'm on a business trip, I have some downtime, and I want to do some one-to-ones, I can reach out and we could do a Zoom or a FaceTime or a Skype or whatever, or even just a telephone call, and you could do a one-to-one that way as well. So don't think that you're limited to having to drive somewhere or be somewhere to do a one-to-one. Now, that being said, location, location, location. There are ways that you can optimize the location of a physical one-to-one where you're going to meet face to face. So there's advantages to different ways of doing this. Like if you're out in public, I've had experiences where like I go to the coffee shop and I'm sitting there and I'm having a one-to-one and it's a really great conversation, and the person that I need to refer to that individual walks through the door. And so I invite them to come and sit down, and boom, referral made right there. I've had other experiences where I've had a one-to-one, and then afterwards, after the person leaves, have somebody come up to me and say, well, what was that meeting that you were having? What were you talking about? And it gives me an opportunity to talk about BNI, or to talk about that person's business, or to talk about my business. And so people can see us, they can see what we're doing. You might even think about wearing your BNI name tag while you do a one-to-one, because that would really make people take notice if you're feeling really, really bold. You might not just want to meet at the same place over and over and over. A really great way to do a one-to-one is meet at each other's business. So if there's something that's interesting about your location, like you have a storefront or a factory or a process or something like that, let's get on site. Let's go so that I can see what it is that you do, or you can see what it is that I do. And being in that environment might spark some ideas and opportunities. So really think about the locations of your one-to-ones, and don't just set these locations arbitrarily based on a place that you can both get to. Really try and think about how can we use the location of this meeting to our advantage. Also, use good manners. So some people should not eat
during a meeting. Okay, if you're like a messy eater or you spit when you talk and stuff like that, just wait the hour and eat later. Be on time, be respectful of other people's times, and that means that if you feel like it's dragging on and you can see the other person's checking their watch a lot, you can help them out by being respectful of their time. And you want to be careful about how casual you get with some of these. Some folks might not be ready to get super casual or comfortable with you yet. So remember that primarily this is a business meeting that you're having. And so be polite, use good manners, and things like that. Also remember that this one-to-one can set the tone for your future relationship with that person in the group. And so the care that you give and the attentiveness that you give can set the tone for if that person is now going to start listening closely to your weekly presentation. Is that person going to be a fan of yours in the group? Are they going to be an advocate for what you do? Are they going to be a creator or promoter of what it is that you're trying to get done in the group? And so those relationships, if you look around the group and you're like, man, that's a really tight knit group of people, those relationships are often forged in one-to-ones. And then finally, the advice would be to follow through. So if you're in a one-to-one and you come up with a really great idea, or you say, I'm going to talk to this person for you, or I'm going to do this for you, or let's talk some more, follow through. Even if you aren't able to get something done, at least let the people know that you haven't forgotten about it, that you tried. And communicate about the things that you discuss. They have importance. They have weight. This is a critical thing that everybody needs to do in their chapter. We've historically had some people in the past that were amazing at doing one-to-ones. And I say that only from the standpoint of volume. Like they would show up and they'd say, I did like 7 one-to-ones this week, which I always think is amazing because I don't have that kind of time, y'all. But they would do 7 one-to-ones, but these people never gave referrals. They never got referrals. And they weren't high performers in the BNI group. And so you got to question, like, what are they using these meetings for? Is it just an opportunity to get in front of somebody and try and like sell them something? Or are they not like focused on the message? Are they not coming in there with a plan? And so when you see somebody like that where they're doing a ton of one-to-ones, but they're not doing any other business in BNI, it makes you wonder if the 7 people that they met with could have had their time better spent meeting with somebody else. And so don't be that person who just does a ton of one-to-ones, takes a lot of pride in, oh yeah, I had all these sit downs with people, but you're not producing anything else. The goal of your one-to-one is to make you a better member, better able to deliver for the other people in the group so that we can help you also to reach all of your goals. And so, last piece of advice that I would give is to log your one-to-ones. Have a discussion at the one-to-one. Remind each other, hey, let's log this, right? Decide who's going to do it. If you don't log it, it didn't happen. We want to track these numbers. What history has shown is that people who do at least one-to-one a week tend to give and receive more referrals in BNI. And there's even charts. I'm gonna put up a slide to finish that has podcasts that you can listen to. And Dr. Meisner talks about the correlation between the number of quality one-to-ones and the amount of business that's both received and given by those members. So there you have it. I hope that this has been helpful for you. When you are coming to a meeting, have a plan as to who do I need to sit down with this week. Don't leave the meeting until you have that set up. Maybe arrange a few times coming into the meeting that you know that you're going to be available to meet. Like I have like 2 time slots a week where I know these are times when I can do one-to-ones, and just happy connecting out there. It's some of the best experiences that you can have as a member of BNI. One more thing before I finish, folks. Here are those podcasts that I was just referring to. If you go to bnipodcast.com, you go to the search bar, you can search by episode. You put in episode 472. That's going to bring up the podcast entitled More One-to-Ones Equal More Referrals. Episode 562 is called How to Get Referrals. 551, Announcing One-to-Ones During Referrals. And this is a really good one about why we don't use that in the my contribution portion, and we only focus on the testimonials, the thank you for closed business, and the referrals. Yes, because that's what it's called, referrals, right there. And then also episode 550 about monopolizing a one-to-one. All very great podcasts. I just want to point out that if you listen to all those podcasts and you watch this video, that equals one continuing education unit. So go mark that down. You've done all your work for the week and you are a one-to-one expert. All right, y'all, that's it. Have a great time.